Go for it.
I'm gonna just say this and take this from a person who has been insecure, who has had fears, who's been rejected. Take it from a person that was in his 20s, 30s, and now in my 40s. I will say this: just stop the fear. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid of what people think. Stop being afraid of how people are going to react to a post. Stop chasing a million likes. Stop
Yeah.
having to show off, your body, whatever, uh, all that, just stop worried. If it's what you want to do, you do it. You can't please anybody. I go in a room, I speak in front of 20 people, there's going to be three or four that don't like what I have to say or didn't like my demeanor. So you're going to have three or four that'll give you a bad survey, and you'll have the rest that are going to say, oh, this was great. And you're going to have some that'll be like, it was in between, right? You're not going to make everybody happy. So stop trying to please everybody. At the same time, I also want people to stop being afraid of getting in front of a camera on this, right? Like, this is like the thing for me now when I hire people into a sales oriented business, whether it's sales, whether it's real estate. If you're in a people business, you need to not be afraid of being behind a camera.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Caps and Conversations. Right now, we are running on episode 18, season 3, and we are just absolutely ecstatic to have everybody here today. Lamont, what's going on?
The world is spinning, the sun is shining, birds is chirping, life is good. I can't complain either way, shape, or form. How you doing, Bob?
Another day in paradise, young man. There's this huge thing called the Powerball. I don't know if you're familiar with it, being in Germany.
Hey, that thing is up to like 800 million, isn't it?
No, 1.8 billion
With a B.
is the jackpot.
Yeah.
And it played yesterday, and two people won.
Two people.
That's it. Two people won the jackpot. So one person is in Texas and the other person is in Missouri. And it's like odd because, okay, I know it's a small world and whatever, but I've got family in Texas. My wife has family in Missouri. And we're trying to blow up their phones and see if they won. Because if they did, bye, Felicia.
Exactly. Well, I tell you what, if I ever win, first, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to donate. I want to donate a lot because, I can't take it all with me. Because the stuff I do with the money that I do get, y'all going to be like, where's Lamont today? Oh, he's on his own private island. I was like, bruh, where else could I possibly be?
Yeah.
I'll send you a postcard from the sea somewhere. I'm like, well, where's this located at? In the middle of the Indian Ocean? Minding my business, leaving yours
crazy,
alone.
Man. It's crazy the amount of taxes that they pull on you, man, for winning. And like all you did was like,
you know what? Okay, let's compute. If you look down at the bottom of my name, I am a metric specialist. Just think, what they covering 35 to 38%.
Yeah, no, it's nuts. It's nuts. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I would still be happier than a pig in mud if I were to, take home $800 million. I have no problem with that.
I don't think anybody have no problem with that. But, okay, if they split 1.8 billion? 1.9
$1.8 billion. Yeah.
So billion. What is that? I can't even compute that high because I can't even get to 100,000. So,
That's a lot. That's
how they say that's way over my pay grade.
So, like in jackpot standards, right? That would be 900 million each. Yeah. 900 million each, and then Uncle Sam comes and takes his bite. So they're still walking home with 400 some odd $million a piece.
Bro, that's half. That's half.
Well, yeah, the taxes are about 45%.
Well, yeah,
the taxes are about 45%.
That's still too much.
So.
Maybe that's why Stan is coming in right now. Stan won that money. Stan, you won that money, didn't you?
No, I wish. You guys got a choice. We can go MAGA or we can go regular Adidas.
I don't know. I'm in Germany. I'm going to let y'all discuss that.
It's the first thing I could find. I got this as a gift. I was like, I could do this.
All right.
That works.
That's what
Hat is a hat, you
we're
know.
gonna bring on the haters.
Well, there's
Well,
quite a
there's
few.
quite a
There's quite a
few. There's
few,
quite a
but
few,
I
but
can't
I
justify
can't
anything
justify
from over here
anything
because
I love
I'm seeing the
haters.
best
Seeing the
of
best
both
of both
sides,
sides,
or the worst of
or
both
the worst
sides.
of
I'm
both
not
sides.
sure which
I'm
one
not
I'm
sure
supposed
which
to
one
see.
I'm supposed to see. Exactly. That's pretty much how it goes.
Awesome. So
So
Stan,
Stan,
bro,
bro,
welcome.
welcome.
Very
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you
you
for joining
joining
us
us
today.
today.
Really
Really
appreciate
appreciate
having
having
you
you on.
on. And there
It's
are
been
a
fun.
few things that I want to dive
I
into.
want to dive into.
Because your profile like really caught my attention as you're a trainer for car dealerships, right? For BDC, for salespeople.
Yes.
So
So
for those
for
who
those who
don't
don't
know,
know,
please break
break
into
into
what
what
BDC is
BDC
all
is all
about.
about. BDC is a business development center. It's generally like a call center that car dealerships basically, it's a second layer of a sales or service department. So what happens is most car salespeople, and I hate to talk smacks, it's the industry, man, but most car salespeople are very lazy, especially the modern day ones, right? Everybody wants everything given to them. We're not in an era where everyone's a hunter and gatherer. Some people are hustlers, but most aren't. So what happens is because of the laziness of following up on all the leads and handling all the incoming phone calls, dealerships started employing this business development center concept years ago. And I was against it. I kind of still am, even though it's what I do for a living, because that's the direction it went in. But it's a second layer of people that handles appointment making, follow up, lead generation, data mining. And so that happens both in sales and service. Service, I could see where there's a better need for it because they get so bogged down with customers that they don't have time to call everybody. Service departments are very poor at handling update statuses in the middle of the day, letting people know what's going on with their car. They get bombarded because on average, they see 14 to 20 customers per service advisor. And really, you should be seeing about 14. So that's a whole other department that also schedules appointments and generates traffic.
Yeah, yeah. So I understand that. Now, what I don't understand is the following, right? If there were two salespeople on the same customer, right? And the deal is made, right? So you get 50-50 commission. So if that deal was originally BDC led, gets it to a salesperson and a deal's made, what happens to the commission then?
So what happens is this: DC people generally are paid a salary or hourly, and then they get paid. Most stores they pay like it could be $15 or $20 for every appointment that they make that shows up, and then they get paid maybe $30 extra if the car sells. Some dealerships will pay a flat per car sold. Some pay for appointment show. Some pay for sold. Some have bonuses if you hit certain metrics like a show rate, what percentage of people showed up. That's how they get paid.
High line vehicles, right? So Bugattis, Maseratis, like the list just went on. And this was all happening under a Mitsubishi umbrella. So that's like right there is like the first red flag. And then it's like, you're one individual versus an entire like culture of what happens. And I swear to goodness, I'll never go back. I'll never go back. I'm happy where I'm at right now. We can't go any further into that.
I was
Stan, you have like a whole training session and program on is this like your own company, the training, or is it something that you contracted
it's
out for?
it's my own company. I've been doing it for so I've been in the industry since 2003, and I've had my business since 2010. Right around this time is when I started it. Um, and oh, I can't see you guys all of a sudden.
We can
Yeah, so I
see you.
started it.
Yeah.
I see you now. I started this in 2010. Around this time, I just got tired of working, even in the business. I got tired of working all the bell to bells and 6 days a week, and even some abuse. I just got tired of it, and I knew that I was good enough to go out and teach other people how to do this. Spent 8 years in retail, and so I. I got into that, and so it was great because I started traveling the country. I worked under another trainer for a little bit, and then I went off on my own, and it's been phenomenal ever since. I mean, we've had some rough years. I mean, I'll say this: I went broke 3 times, and came back stronger than ever. Developed a lot of skills. Uh, if you would have met me in 2010, I would have been scared to do this podcast, right? And I
Yeah.
you get a lot of experience. You go on stage and you suck on stage, and then you finally, over time you get better. Nowadays, I do a lot. I do work with manufacturers. I did work with Hyundai for a couple of years. I'm doing some work with Ford now. So I do a lot of facilitating and coaching and consulting and speaking, and the business has been great to me. I've evolved. I built a social media presence. I wrote a book. I'm writing another book. I mean, it's fun. It's amazing what you can do. Uh, and everything started with automotive, with selling cars. So that's why I said,
Well, the thing is that like you have a huge leg up because you started out in the industry, like you said, at 20 years
yep,
old, and you found like a sub niche within that same industry that fit for you and it worked out.
yes,
Like the amount of people out there that are still trying to figure out what their voice is, what they want to get into, you broke through that mold, quite easily.
yes,
And we're kind of here to like help people along to show them that like, look, before you even get started with anything, you have to figure out exactly what it is that you're going to do and what you're going to stick with. Because, 6 months down the line, if things haven't panned out the way that you wanted to, that doesn't mean quit. That means something's
exactly.
broken in your line of communication and you
Yeah.
need to, tighten that up in order for it to continue on.
Just have to
Mhm.
pivot.
So you've got to pivot just like that. You've got to pivot. And it's great to know that, like, that you found exactly what it is that you were doing because you were born of it. Kind of reminds me of Bane in Batman.
Yeah.
I was born from the darkness.
Yeah, yeah. And see, that's the thing. That's the thing about all entrepreneurs. We need to be able to pivot into new things because nothing lasts forever, like they say. And with these ongoing trends and the way the digital era is going, first we had the analog, then we had the digital era. Now we enter into the first phases of AI. So once AI fully takes over, it's I don't know how it's going to coincide with the digital part, but like you said, you started off as a car salesman, so you had to pivot from that, but you took those skills from that. And a lot of people afraid to say, okay, I can't do anything else. This is all I know how to do. But if you don't pivot or I want to say upgrade a little bit in your life, then you're going to be left behind. It's just almost just like
Yep.
I'm the dummy that didn't buy Bitcoin when it was like 0.0001 cents. I'm that guy,
Yep.
and I refuse to be that guy anymore because when I see stuff happening, either you're going to jump on it or adapt with it, or you're going to get left behind. So, um,
Yeah.
I I commend you on that because you taking those skills and you adding on to it. You know, so
I
what
appreciate
are
that.
you into right now as we speak? You went through your car salesmanship and you're in the digital market. Is digital marketing? Can I say that?
Well, that
Digital
that
marketing.
used to be a part of it. I had a social media agency for a little bit. Um, I dabbled in a lot of things. I did during COVID. I did credit repair.
Yeah.
Got into that, right? There's just so many things that you can do. And I don't think I was always that entrepreneurial. When I started this, I went to sell cars because I needed to pay for school, and I started to live on my own at 20. And
Hmm.
I didn't know what I was doing. It was a huge adjustment. It was a huge change, right? We talk about change management. I was a change agent at that time, right? A huge one, and uh, I had no idea what I was getting into. It's just, I sold my first two cars and made $1,000 in one day, and I'm like, interesting. I was a
Could be
lifeguard. I was a
lucrative.
lifeguard for 7 years. So and then you just find your way over time. And look, I faced a lot of rejection. I still get a lot of rejection. I don't always get invited to speak somewhere. And I just learned, over time, the older I got, that just build your path, do you, right? We say do you, boo, right? So
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
same thing. So I just got to the point. I'm comfortable. If you ask what am I doing now? Now I'm just doing me. Whoever likes me, loves me, great. Whoever hates me, great. Doesn't matter. I just do what I do, as at the best of the ability that I do it. I'm working with OEMs. I'm about to hit the road in about 3 hours. I'm gonna be out for all week working with 5 dealerships. That's what I'm doing. I'm writing my next book. I'm 8 or almost 9 chapters in. Um, just living life. I'm about to
Yeah.
be in my mid 40s. I'm just enjoying life. I'm home. I'm in my comfort zone, I guess you could say. Now I'm actually looking for another way to break out of it.
Okay. See, now
Yeah, I noticed.
you're in your comfort zone now, but I'm gonna go back in your statement where you said I took a lot of rejection.
Yes.
A lot of people can't handle that. A
Hmm.
lot of people will say, okay, two no's is I'm done. Three no's I'm done, and they can't seem to move forward.
Yes.
Can you put some emphasis on that? Because I know a lot of people that took a lot of no's. I for one, I still hear it today, but I love the no's. At least it's feedback for me. Um, how does that make you feel like in the beginning when you first started off and said, okay, I'm going to venture out in something, and then you turn and said, okay, I want to approach this person, I want to approach this person, and all I keep getting is no's. How did you overcome that? Because a lot of people can't overcome that one part that can either sow them to the top or you
Hmm.
know keep saying, okay, I'm positive about it, I got some feedback. How does that make you feel, and how did you get over that?
Um, when I was younger, I handled it with a lot of immaturity. I'll be very honest. You become a product of what you get mentored by, right? I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
when I started training, when I left the dealership, I went to work for another training company. This person and I have heavy history, good and bad. And I worked for this person for about 8 months. And we had a lot of drama. This person he was very much known to get into little pissing contests, and he was very much known to get into it with people. And I think I developed some
Hmm.
bad habits at that time. And at one point, he slandered me on social media, and I was maybe 3 months into my business. And I went from growing. I was on my way to building $1 million business, and I fell apart and almost lost everything. That was the first one time, right? And so, and it took a couple years. Sometimes, they say time heals all wounds. Well, it took a few years for me to humble myself. It also took a few years of people finding out more about that person to be like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I looked at you that way. So th- th- sometimes it just takes time, but a lot of it for me was I was young, aggressive, also foolish, and they say full of piss and vinegar, right? That's the same, right? That's what I
Yeah.
was. And meanwhile, I didn't have the skill set. Like I couldn't go on stage and speak like I do now. I was writing for magazines. I would take every opportunity I can to speak somewhere, but I would also get rejected. And a lot of it was because there were people that would say, well, I don't want to hire Stan because Stan is this or Stan is that, right? Person that just passed away, Jim Ziegler, legend in the industry, right? He was one of those people that both supported me, helped me go up, also tore me down, and also brought me back up because
Yeah.
he was a legend in our industry. He passed away a few
Yeah.
months ago, and I'm happy him and I reconnected 8 years ago. We were friends, and I was really deeply upset when he passed away because even his final words to me were great. If he was watching this right now, he'd be really proud of me. So that's where the rejection came from. It came from not being taken serious, being young. I was one of the youngest. I was told recently I was one of the youngest sales trainers to work with the Greater New York Auto Dealer Association. I didn't know that. I was 27, and if you look at how I operated at 27 as opposed to 42, I'm a different, changed person. But
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
time, the rejection also, you get to the point where and there's a book, and I highly recommend it. It's called The Let Go Theory by Mel Robbins. I listened to it 2 months ago on an audiobook, and it's a best-selling book by Mel Robbins. And she talks about if you're not wanted, just let go. Just build your own path, and then think about why you're not wanted, and think about yourself. Be very self-aware, and that's what I've
Hmm.
become. And so I got to the point that there's a major convention that happens every year. When you're speaking at that convention, you're at the elite, right? I've gotten turned down
Yep.
10 times. Even this year, I put out the best video ever for promo, still got turned down. I'm not going to stop. You just have to never give up. And maybe sometimes it's just not your time. And that's pretty much what it is.
That's a great takeaway right
It
there. I
is.
mean, each no brings you closer to the next yes,
Yeah.
and that's what it boils down to. You gotta pivot when you gotta pivot, and that's what this show is all
Okay.
about. You know, we're
Hey, I'm,
talking
I'm
about
with you.
how every no brings you closer to your next yes, and
Yeah.
that's what it's all about.
Hmm.
Because if you don't have the skin thick enough to receive those no's, and with each no, you get bogged down even further, and then you're like, oh, mommy, no, get out. Go somewhere else with that lamey BS because you have to have thick skin in order to be in the industry, in the space that you're in, to start your own business. Without that, like, that's kind of like the foundation beneath the foundation. If
Yeah.
you don't have that, it's not going to happen. Go get yourself a 9 to 5, go flip burgers, do whatever you got to do, get money somehow. But if you've got that thick skin and you're ready to take on the world from a new angle, this is where you want to be. We're
Yeah.
talking with Stan Sher, and one of the things that I wanted to bring up because I was going through your feed before, especially since we're talking about cars, the Honda Prologue. Now, I haven't done any research on this, right? And shame on me, whatever. Is that an evolution to what was the Prelude?
No, they're actually coming out with a new Prelude. They just released the
No
Prelude.
way.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
gonna be a hybrid. It's not gonna be stick. It's pathetic. Um, I
They're dumbing
Don't
it
you do it,
down.
Bob.
Yeah, just
Don't you
like
do it.
everything else. It's so here's I'm gonna tell you a little bit. That's funny. You went through my feed. I love it. Honda Prologue. So you're talking to a guy that is anti EV. I don't want to be caught seeing dead with one, right? I don't want a Tesla. I don't want an EV. But here's what happened. So I have two cars, right? I have a little sports car, and I had a I have I drive Lexus. I totaled my Lexus exactly a week and 2 hours ago. So it's 10:30 on a Sunday. Well, totaled my Lexus. I got in an accident a block away, and so now I'm waiting for the insurance settlement to come through, and I'm gonna go out and get a new car. And I love my Lexuses, right? I use Lexus. They last forever. They're great cars, and I don't like EVs. However, sometimes money talks, right? And you can get a Prologue for like 150 bucks a month on a lease right now, and it's like a $52,000 vehicle. So I actually have a few friends checking up on that for me. And you get to the point where, yeah, I don't ever want to drive an EV, but at 100 bucks a month, literally for 2 years, that's way less than what I'm paying. I may consider going the other way for 100 bucks a month
Yeah.
as opposed to paying 600 bucks a month.
There's a message in this.
Yeah. So that's why yeah, sometimes financially it makes more sense. It's like, okay, this is cheap. I can write a $4,000 or $5,000 check and be good for 2 years. Why not? My challenge, I live in a condo. I don't have charging stations, but I have a Wawa right across the street. So it's got a Tesla charger, and I think you can connect it.
Yes, it does.
I'm
Yeah.
learning right now about that. And like I said, I'm about 85% sure I'm not going to end up with an EV. I'm going to stick with the Lexus, stick with what I know. But if the deal is right and the vehicle drives nice, that's the biggest thing. I may consider going that way.
Yeah, I mean,
That's called
over
a
here,
pivot.
Yeah.
yeah, is
That's
it?
called a pivot.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's called because over here they trying to mandate that everything over the next 10 years, as far as vehicle wise, is going to be electric
Yeah.
because they believe in that clean energy. But some way, somehow, I think they're not telling us the whole story because they're going to try to monetize everything because
Of
an
course.
EV over here costs as much as a house. And I'm like, you got to pick your poison. Either you want a nice 1-bedroom apartment with 65 square feet,
Mhm.
or you can have this luxury EV that costs you 220,000 euro. I'm
That's
like,
wild.
hmm, yeah, let me see if I can try to map this out. No, but that's the way things are because when they manufacture these things, they only doing it because they can monetize it.
Yeah.
And they're turning everything around, especially over here, because at the point it's going to cost you a little bit of money.
Yep.
Either you're going to live well or you're going to drive well. You can't have both unless you won that Powerball, and I ain't win it. So
I ain't winning
you know,
either. I forgot to buy
it,
Yeah.
tickets
it's
last year.
it's a long way to
Oh
go, but
no.
it's cost
Oh
effective if
no.
you have to use gas versus electric. Because I see gas being astronomical high, like $6 a gallon or six
Yeah.
€6 a liter or something like that. That's unaffordable. So
Yep.
you know,
And I drive a lot,
pick
so
your
it's
poison.
like because I drive a lot, it's like, do I, it's really not that feasible. Lately, I travel a lot, and I rent cars for when I travel, so for work. So I don't really drive as much. And I love my other
Yeah,
car. I have a little GR86 with a stick. That's my happy place. Um, you know,
Oh, the my brother-in-law is he travels the country a lot too, and a lot of places that are relatively close, like I guess you could say within, 800 miles
mhm,
or so. He'll drive to. Like he's an original like gearhead, right? And his it's crazy. His recent gas automobile was a Mitsubishi Outlander,
okay,
and since he's doing all this traveling and stuff, he's pumping gas like crazy.
yeah,
And he made the switch probably about 2 years ago or so to a Tesla. And dude, it's costing him like maybe $35 a month
yeah,
to charge up his Tesla
yeah,
and do these trips. It's mind blowing. And I know that the general consensus of an argument for the Teslas or EVs in general is the electrical grid, right? The infrastructure.
yes,
yeah,
It's not as many as there are. Like with gas stations, you can be on like a quarter tank and be like, I'll be all right. There's a gas station that's gonna show up
yeah,
eventually.
right,
What's brilliant about the EV is that it'll tell you, hey, if you want to get here, you got to go here, here,
yes,
here, and charge up, and you'll be right there, no problem.
yeah,
It primes the battery for you for supercharge. Like
yep.
the technology is amazing.
I
I love it. I like the idea of EV, but don't get me wrong. I am a gas head. Like my car is a stick shift.
Yep,
I gotta have my manual, transmission. I need that. I need that. It fuels my blood.
correct. I go a year without a stick shift car, and it drives me nuts. And I have to wait 8 months when I leased this car, and I love it. It's since I was 20 or 19, even I like driving stick.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So now that we've taken a dive into like your personal business and the training program and stuff, you've got a book already out. You're working on a second book.
Mhm,
Like this is kind of like everything that you learned from Legendary. Um, when it comes to like advertising, right? Because like we look at in this industry, we look at every single post that you do as
mhm,
a form of advertising, whether you're advertising yourself,
yeah.
you're advertising your business, advertising for another company, or whatever. How do you feel about faceless advertising or in your face advertising? Like where do you stand with it, Stan?
Depends on your message. You can have a really great faceless message. You can have a really great in your face message. We There's a guy. He's got a media company now. It's an automotive car dealership guy, right? And this guy was he for like a year or two, he was doing podcast interviews. Nobody knew who he was. He didn't show his face, and they paid a ton of money to bring him to NADA 2 years ago, and they unveiled him. Cars.com unveiled him. Who's the mystery man, right? Millions of people, myself included, we were there to watch this. Turns out it was this guy Yossi who was a used car dealer in Philadelphia, right? And now he shows his face. Now he's got a company. Now they're doing recruiting ads. He's got a sales team, and I mean they're interviewing all the heavyweights, and he's big and popular, right? But nobody knew who he was. They unveiled him. I thought that was a brilliant master plan. But then there's people that just it all depends on who's delivering the message and what the message is.
Yeah, I agree with
Absolutely.
that. I agree with that because there's tons of people doing faceless, and I was like, "Who is this guy or who is this person?" And it's not too much on who the person is, but like you said, the message. You know, you can have a faceless
Yeah.
YouTube, a faceless TikTok, a faceless Facebook,
Mhm.
but if your message is not right, it's just what it's going to be. It's going to be faceless. It's going to be anonymous, and you're not going to get no uh, notoriety for it.
Yeah.
But the message
Yeah.
speaks, and even though you know, okay, like we're all here speaking now. Now I can actually talk to somebody and my words reverberate or resonate with them in a way that is just me and you. Okay, I don't
Yeah.
like talking to the masses. I like to talk to my audience or someone who's just like me or someone I'm geared to speak to, because if you can't speak that message to your audience,
Yep.
nobody's going to come on board, and that's the biggest thing for me. That was the biggest takeaway for me. I had to learn. You have to learn how to talk the talk. Now, if you're in real estate and I'm trying to sell you a washing machine, it's just not going to work. You know, if you're if you're in a car dealership and I'm trying to sell you a flight, it's just not going to work. But unless you buy the car. But anyway,
Boy.
the message resonates wildly among people that you know understand the message, pretty
Yeah.
much. I know I'm rambling, but
No, no, you're
I
good.
see a lots of I see a lot of what you said and what I just happened to come across my mind, and
Mhm.
it took me years to understand that because I would be on Facebook and I would say, okay, why is nobody buying my stuff? Well, I don't know how to talk to my audience. And
Mhm.
once I learned how to talk to my audience, I had to find out something about myself. I had to find out something about my product. And once I put those two together, now I say, okay, I don't want to sell to you. I want to see what your problem is. And if I can help you fix it, then it's a different story, you know? But there's a lot of people that's in the entrepreneur space now that would say, yeah, I got this program. It's going to make you a lot of money, and you can do da 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 da. But will it fix my problem? If it doesn't fix my problem, then of course it's not for me. But you see a lot of people buy into it, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the road, oh, this is rubbish. This is trash. I
Mhm.
don't know why I even bought into it. Well, you bought into it because you had the psychoanalysis that I can make money you know, instead of fixing the problem that's
Yeah.
stopping you from making money.
Yep.
So I hope that's a learning tool for some of the folks that's out there today because, hey, I'm gonna put this on the screen because this is true. This is so true. And facts it's not about the facts, but stories sell, and you have to be able to tell a story these days because and one thing about a story, it can't be too long because, I'm gonna say this and I hope it doesn't ban me on YouTube. Some people attention span is longer than a cat's ass, which is about this big,
Yep.
you know?
That's so true.
So, if you don't get in front of the right people with the right message at the right time, then, it is what it is. And then you're wasting your efforts. Uh-oh.
Yep. Yep. You aren't wrong about that. So Stan, tell us a little bit about your website, right? So you've got
Which one? I
dealer
got
training.
like 5.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Let's talk about dealer training.
Dealer e-training. Yep.
So how do you got people to like, how are you driving traffic there?
It's interesting. I probably reality. I don't think I get as much traffic as I used to. I think back in the day I would get more leads. I get a couple leads a month. Um, I don't think people really do websites that much. I mean, I have mine for different reasons because there's a couple different services I offer, and I also kind of got out of automotive a little bit too. I do facilitating and management leadership training as well now, but um, I used to get more leads. Now I think it's more of a showcase piece of this is who I am, this is what I've done, this is what I can do. Reach out when needed. Usually, most of the time, it's people that know me or they've heard of me, or they'll call me and say, "Hey, we got somebody that needs help." A lot of it is by phone. Um, but that's not to say I don't get leads. I just don't get that many leads.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So
Like we had a guest on not too long ago, and that's one of the things that we touched on. Like you can spend tons of money on advertising, but what it really boils down to is word of mouth. Like that still serves as the greatest form of advertising than paper, digital, whatever, radio.
Mhm,
That's
Yeah.
always going to be the best thing. So for all of you, listening out there, your first impression to new people that you meet has to be a lasting one, has to be positive,
mhm.
has to
Yeah.
be great, so that then when you come up naturally, when that other person is talking to someone else, a complete stranger that you've never met, they know who to go to for whatever service you're providing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly.
and a
And
lot
this
of
is where self-awareness needs to be looked. Yeah, go ahead,
I'm
Stan.
sorry, a
Yeah.
lot of it's social media. People just find you by your post, by your content. That's why I put out a lot of content now because that's what gets people talking.
Very true. Very, very, very true. So we're getting to a close here, and Lamont, please do the honors.
Well, I always start. Well, this is a new segment for us, and it's been going on for the last couple episodes. If there's anything that you can tell anybody, or to help anybody with a statement or something you can say to help them get over the hump, to help somebody, what would that be right now?
I might go on a long one here, but uh, I'm
Hey,
gonna just say
go
this.
for it. Go for it.
I'm gonna just say this and take this from a person who has been insecure, who has had fears, who's been rejected. Take it from a person that was in his 20s, 30s, and now in my 40s. I will say this: just stop the fear. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid of what people think. Stop being afraid of how people are going to react to a post. Stop chasing a million likes. Stop
Yeah.
having to show off, your body, whatever, uh, all that, just stop worried. If it's what you want to do, you do it. You can't please anybody. I go in a room, I speak in front of 20 people, there's going to be 3 or 4 that don't like what I have to say or didn't like my demeanor. So you're going to have 3 or 4 that'll give you a bad survey, and you'll have the rest that are going to say, "Oh, this was great." And you're going to have some that'll be like, it was in between, right? You're not going to make everybody happy. So stop trying to please everybody. At the same time, I also want people to stop being afraid of getting in front of a camera on this, right? Like, this is like the thing for me now when I hire people into a sales oriented business, whether it's sales, whether it's real estate. If you're in a people business, you need to not be afraid of being behind a camera. I go into a dealership and I'll say, "Hey, like, give you a good example." Okay. And this, Bob, car dealerships are really bad at following this one part of their sales process, and that's introducing their customer to service when they're delivering a vehicle, when they sold the car. And it almost never
Yeah.
gets done. And that is, excuse me, that's sales 101, right? And so, it's always like, well, at 8 o'clock at night, there's nobody in service. What do I do? Okay, great. Why? And I made this example. I said, why not have every service advisor do a 30-second video, and while you're sitting
Yeah.
with your customer waiting to go into the finance office, you can at least play them a video. And first, you can walk them back and show them how busy it is. And then you come back and say, "Hey, I know they were a little busy to meet with you. I just wanted to play you this video." Or you can even send them a video. And it's like, I did these responses like, "Well, I'm not getting in front of a camera. I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous." Well, why not? Well, if you're giving me an attitude like that with a face like that, I don't even want you to work for me because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want that
Yeah.
attitude being seen by my customers, by my clients, right? So, um, I'm just telling people right now, it doesn't matter how beautiful or how ugly you are, doesn't really matter. Just go out there and put yourself out there and stop being scared. Also, understand this. You're going to be very bad at this in the beginning. But you do this for 10, 15 years, you become so good at it, you become more polished, more experienced. You can go back and say, "This is what I was 15 years ago. This is where I am now." There is no shame in my game whatsoever because in order for me to become this great, I had to suck at this level too, right? There's a book. Oh, well, it's not really a book. I recommend this to everybody. I'm sure you guys have heard of Toastmasters before for
Yeah.
public speaking,
Yeah.
right? This saved me. In 2010, when I got into training, I was told to go do this, and I signed up. And the very first 10 speeches, and you can do this at your own pace, goes from icebreaker all the way to get to the point to how to deliver your vocally, how to inspire your audience. They give you all these different speeches, right? And that is like a gym for public speaking. It doesn't cost a lot, and I recommend every human being that's in a people business get into it, and then they practice. Your posts should be practice, and then eventually, when you get better,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's all about the end result is just getting people talking about you. If you talk bad about you, great. Now give them a reason to talk good about you. Turn your haters
There
into
you go.
fans. That's it.
That's a
That's
nugget
it.
right there. That
That
is a
is.
huge
That
nugget right
is.
there. If they're talking bad about you, write this down, everybody. If they're talking bad about you, give them a reason to talk good about you. Because you already got the ball
Exactly.
going with them talking about you.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's like, you
Exactly.
know what that is? That's like good PR or bad PR.
Exactly.
They're talking about you. Doesn't matter.
And I
Oh,
want to
that's
give a
fantastic.
special shout out to my network that's actually came in, and Andrew and Samantha and a
Right.
couple of other people that came in from the growth squad community. And you know, community is where it's at as well. We pride ourselves on, okay, I can do this myself. Let's be honest. You can, but it's going to take you 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you know? Um, but when you have somebody that's with you or community wise that uplifts each other, the world is your oyster. They can boost your confidence. And just like you said, it doesn't matter what you look like, whether you're beautiful or ugly. Of course, I got a radio face, but a face made for radio. But a couple of years ago, I wouldn't be on camera unless I was playing a game or something. I had a
Mhm.
helm on and shoulder pads. Nobody really could see me. But
Mhm.
now I've done so many of these that
Yeah.
I don't care what people think. You know, People gonna choose to like you or not like you. That's none of your business. You know, and a lot of people they get in front of the camera and they say, "Oh, well, I didn't have this right. I didn't have that right," and before they actually put the video out, they'll delete it, and then they'll
Yep.
do 25
Yeah.
more, and then they'll delete those too, and then next thing you know, 3 years has passed when somebody who started the same time you started
Mhm.
is well off, and you're wondering why.
Yep.
So don't be afraid to start. Just get out there because I look crazy every day when I go out there. But you know what? It's my kind of crazy.
Yeah. Howard
Exactly.
So
Stern.
I
Exactly.
appreciate that, man.
Howard Stern, I remember watching his movie Private Parts, right? About Howard Stern. And I remember when he was battling, when he was coming up and building his niche, right? Or his style. And they were going through the ratings, and they're like, all these people, this percentage of people hate his guts, but yet they still listen to him. And when they ask him, well, why are you still listening to him? Well, I'm curious what he's going to say next. And that's the hook. Howard Stern was brilliant with that.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, look, Stan, I want to thank you very much for hanging out with us today. Really, really appreciate your time.
Likewise.
We're gonna be able to, do some. Well, Lamont's gonna do some magical editing to
Yeah.
make these interruptions look so whatever.
I'm a
But
magician.
either
I'm a
way,
Perfect.
magician.
thank you very much. We're gonna put you in the back room for a
Yeah.
minute and just hang out for a bit.
Sounds
Okay?
good. Well,
Thanks again.
thanks.
Man, even
Yeah.
though we had technical difficulty, it ran right through, and it actually turned out to be something pretty valuable, and he dropped several nuggets within. And that's what we
Dude,
look
a
for when
bunch
we
of
we
nuggets.
yeah, when we bring you on, there's a lot of people that said, I can't do a podcast. Even if it wasn't on video, they'd be like, I don't know how to do it. Hey, look, talk to me just like you talking to a friend, you know? Appreciate that, Andrew. Thanks for coming through. We really appreciate that. Um,
Thank you, Andrew.
and there's a lot of things that, goes through somebody's mind as the fear is first. Well, I don't know how I'm gonna sound, or I don't know who's going to listen to this, or I've never done this before. And, they get a million excuses instead of just doing it. Like when me, you, and Carson started this podcast back in November, October,
Man, it's gonna be a year already.
it's almost a year. Now,
Damn.
just a little story before we go, because we
Wow.
talked about this for months. Yeah, we should start a podcast, blah, blah, blah. And, months went by. We were like, you know what? We all got together again. And then we was like, well, when are we going to start this podcast? This week, you know,
Yep.
today. Why not? And we started with
Boots to the
not
ground.
knowing what the outcome was going to be. But the whole point about it is just start. You never know where you're going to end up, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months down the road. If you don't start, you're going to be right there at the starting line. And everybody's already, enjoying a caviar and wine in the back room like Stan is right now. Stan is far
Yeah.
ahead of the curve, but he's been through it with years. So I'm telling you, the best thing you can do is start.
Absolutely. And that's not far from, Stan's message is get over your fear, get in front of the camera. Nobody has to see you the first time you get in front of the camera. Do it in
No,
front of yourself. There
yeah,
was I'm pretty sure I spoke about this before, but there's this Ving. Anyways, he says, when you're gonna start or when you're gonna do it, just do it, right? You're in the comfort of your own
just do it.
home, you're secluded in the bathroom, you're in your bedroom, whatever. You do your little recording and then you audit yourself. First, audio audit. So you'll play the video, turn your phone upside down,
Yeah,
listen to what's going on,
right.
give yourself a few minutes, turn it over, put the volume on mute, and watch yourself to see if
Yeah, your
you are
mannerism and
communicating
stuff like that. Yeah, of
exactly.
course.
And then give yourself a full audit, visual and audio together.
Right.
And it's like it's mind-blowing because you get to see exactly what's happening and how you're communicating. Whatever. Either way, it's been a great Sunday. Thank you everybody for coming out. Craig, Andrew, everybody that was in our audience today, thank you very much. If you have any questions to follow Stan, please, drop them in the comments below, or on our Facebook page or on our Facebook group.
Samantha, thanks for
We'd
coming
love
through.
to
If you
hear
ever
back
go and
from
hear this
you.
podcast again, thank you, Sue. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Samantha. Really appreciate you. And with that, I'm Bob G, your web design strategist.
Hold for dramatic pause, please, because I've been working on my outro. If you ever need See, now don't look at me like that. Don't look at See, this is where me and Bob, we have come to a head. Don't look at me. Look to the side. Look to the side. So if you ever need to grow your business, metrics is the way. I'm your metrics specialist. I'm Mark Brathwaite signing off for one half of Caps and Combos, and we'll see you next week. Cue the music, dog.